Morning. It's after 9:30, so we're going to get started with the drainage agenda. If I can locate it.
Commissioner, will you give us 1 minute? We want to make sure that, test, the mics are not on, and so we want to make sure that the feed is coming on. We're going to check real quick, Commissioner.
A huevo.
I think they're on now.
Yeah.
They're on.
Again, good morning. I'd like to welcome to the Board of Directors Drainage District of November the 12th. Roll call. We have A.C. Cuellar, Joseph Palacios, Precinct 4, and who are you? Oh, Joe Flores, Precinct 3, and myself. We do have a quorum.
Who is yourself?
For the record.
Godfrey?
I don't believe anybody signed up under open forum, Commissioner. We'll proceed on to item 3 on the approval of consent agenda. We would like to take item number 2 out of the consent agenda and read it for you. Otherwise, everything should be okay.
Everything in order?
Except for item 2, I would like to take
Item 3.
Item 3, I apologize.
Item 3,
Yes, sir.
move for approval,
Second.
And for the record,
excluding
approval of consent agenda
number 3.
without item 3.
With
Yes, sir.
item 3.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under item 3, Commissioners, I would like approval to process the claims of services rendered by Royce Hauling Service as they relate to the wastewater treatment plant as per interlocal agreement with the City of Edinburgh, the Drainage District, the county, and there are invoices in as follows. Invoice 8727, the amount of $1,975.24. Invoice number 8731 in the amount of $2,452.69. Invoice 8734 in the amount of $3,058.25. Invoice 8739 in the amount of $2,438.25. Invoice 8742 in the amount of $606.02 for a total of $10,530.45. We're putting them in the claim because they inadvertently went to the county, which is supposed to have come to us for payment because it's part of the interlocals that we have.
Move for approval?
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Moving on, Commissioners, item 4, 2013 bond series, item A, requesting approval to accept proposal and enter into an agreement with IPR South Central contract number TP07-13 through the district's membership with HGAC, a by-member number 071749, as it relates to the trenchless pipeline rehabilitation services for 2013 bond program radal drain reroute rehabilitation project. We're moving forward and recommending this process. It is a process in which we work through the HGAC, which has a process of providing vendors to come in and bid on projects, and thus from there we go and purchase through their existing contracts. We've run this through legal counsel. We've been working at this for about 2 months now. Everything is in order. I do have the engineer of record, Mr. Fred Kurth here from Meldon and Hunt, and Jaime Salazar, our purchasing agent, here. I believe this project is very important that we move forward on. This provides the drainage for the southern part or the northern part of Mission going south, We have two pipes that are about 114-inch diameter that have collapsed and are choking. And we have to go in there in an innovative way because there's subdivisions that have been built up around them. And if we go down and dig 25 feet, we're going to destabilize them.
What
So-
kind of pipe is it? Is that?
Corrugated metal pipe, sir. And we have to go in there and move from the inside and jack them out and reseal the inside of the pipe. Mr. Fred Curtis here can give you more technical aspects of it, but we have cleared the process. It's a similar process that we use for buying equipment or buying other services that are properly secured through the HGAC.
Fred, do you recommend this?
Yes, sir.
Move for approval?
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under item B, request approval of the budget amendment to reduce the amount of bond appropriation for the contingency and increase the budget for the construction of the Radel Drain reroute. This is part of the contingency we have in the bond series money to utilize when projects come over the estimated cost. So we're moving the $4 million out of our contingency account to meet the demands of the Radel Drain project.
Move for approval? Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under item 5, I defer that to Mr. Valdeguerra on the approval of the...
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
When is this going to start?
Within 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
It's going to take about 6 months worth of work, Commissioner. What they're going to do, they're bringing their equipment. These are standalone facilities or trailers that are put on the site. They're working through the inside of the pipe, so they're not going to be cutting on top or creating noise. It's a very unique process. It's being utilized a lot in your big cities like Chicago, Houston, Dallas, where the pipes are 30 or 40 feet underground and they can't go cut the expressway to get to these pipes. So they're going all through the inside and resealing and bringing you a brand new pipe. So it's a new technology, but it's been proven already. It's been worked all over the United States. And the firm we're working with, I believe, is the number 3 firm in the nation? Number 2 firm in the nation that does this type of work.
How much is this gonna cost?
It's about $5.6 million.
How much?
$5.6 million.
Wouldn't it be cheaper just to dig them out?
You can't dig them out, it's a problem, because of the homes that are there. It's just...
But they're not built right on top of them, are they?
Yes, sir.
Who allowed them to build them on top of them?
They went in there, and the district about 8 years ago or 9 years ago reduced the right-of-way that we had in there from the 150 feet to 80 feet on the subdivision. So the easement that we have is about 15 feet away from the edge of the home, and these pipes are there in place.
So I guess it was the county's fault.
Yes, sir. And again, it leads to the point that we cannot be reducing our easements that we have out there because we never know the problem we're going to have in the future.
So there's no right of way, you can just go ahead and,
There isn't, Commissioner.
Nada?
Nada, sir. And was 25 feet deep, we'd have to sheet pile the whole system through there, which is almost close to 4,000 feet. So it's just, we're in a bad situation there on construction.
What was the original budget? for
The original budget was a little over $2 million on the project.
then we do move for approval, I guess, no? That, we had already voted on it.
Yes, sir. Under item 5, approve or 2014 proposed holidays, Mr. Guerra?
Thank you, Godfrey. Commissioners, the holiday schedule that's before the board for the Drainage District is the same that was approved by Commissioners Court on November 5th. We're recommending the same schedule, so as the district and the county coincide with respect to the days off. Again, for the record, New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Day, President's Day, Good Friday, Easter, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving days, Christmas days. There's 2 for each, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and New Year's Eve, a total of 14 as the court approved, as I said, for the County of Hidalgo on November 5th.
Move for approval?
Second?
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Under item 6, approval of the 2013 tax roll totals as per section 26.09E of the Texas Property Tax Code. I have Mr. Paul Villarreal Jr. here to make a presentation.
Morning, Paul.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I believe, does he have one? If you go to the last page, I'll give you the breakdown of the Drainage District totals. On the last page, we have the total partials of 308,882. The total market value was $34,311,538,180. Total exemptions of property, $7,189,189,020, for a total taxable value of $27,122,349,160. Tax rate of 0.0957. Levy before freeze at $25,956,088.15. Later additions of $29,177.18 for a total levy of $25,985,267.24. That's the report. Breakdown. So if you can accept that as a motion, and that's going to become our tax roll totals.
Move for approval. Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Under item 7, the acceptance and approval of the final negotiated contract on documents between Hidalgo County Drainage Number 1, and Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas, and Dearborn National Number 1 rank provider for the third-party administrator stop-loss for self-funded medical plan, group term life, and accidental death and dismemberment, project number 2013-143-10-16-CGA. Commissioners, you might want to consider recessing this until the board takes action on the Commissioners' Court and then coming back on this particular item.
He says this one, yeah.
All right. Do you have anything under 8?
I don't have anything under executive session in which the board wishes to entertain one.
All right, at this time, we're going to recess the Drainage District meeting. And it's 9:18. We're going to come back and convene a regular meeting at 9:30. Morning. We want to welcome you this morning to the regular meeting of the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court for today. Benefit of audience, the entire court is present. We're going to take roll call. We have a quorum. Please join us in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Father in heaven, we ask you to bless us this day. Thank you for the day. Thank you for all the blessings that you give us. Help us always to remember to thank you. Please, we ask special kind of blessings for our ex-commissioner, Oscar Garza, that he can get well. We also ask for blessings on the Philippines and all the people that are suffering over there. We ask you also, dear Lord, to help us always to remember the veterans and make us aware that without them we would not be in a free country. We ask you to bless this court, bless the decisions that they make, help us all to have wisdom and work together. Bless our families and our nation. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.
Amen.
Any concerns, Mr. Eufrasio, with the consent agenda?
Yes, Judge, I would like to ask that consent agenda item 7B be pulled for discussion, B as in boy.
Move for approval
Second.
without 7B.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. What's the issue with 7B, sir?
Are you going to address them, or do you want me to?
Yes, 7B has to do with some applications for payments on the WIC clinic renovations. We have advised the vendor and also the architect that they need to supply us and provide us the supporting documentation. They responded yesterday. I did contact them yesterday that they will be. That's why I'm going to recommend that action be taken subject to receipt of the supporting documentation as they have been advised, and which they acknowledge will be submitted.
Recommend approval subject to?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I sent you the response by both the architect and the vendor yesterday.
Yeah,
So moved.
that is fine, Judge. That's the point that I was going to make, that this is grant funding, so we require
Correct.
all those documents in order for us to
Yes, sir.
process payment.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, under items, under open forum, we have three presenters. First one is Virginia Townsend.
Yeah, you see, my comment on my open forum is, how are we doing? That the reason I'm doing this is because I said I was going to ask you all, maybe every week, how are we doing on saving money? How are we doing? Are we really looking at things that's saving us money? Are we trying to talk to people and say, no, we can't do that right now because we're going to save money this whole year? We're going to try to bring it back so we aren't in the hole anymore. I hope everybody is aware of that and does it all the time. Thanks.
Next presenter is Opal Billman.
Good morning. My name is Opal Billman. Joe Billman petitioned the court for a divorce. The court determined our community property of almost 80 acres of land with capital improvements had no value and could not be divided. Case dismissed. The case was over. That's like walking into a shoe store and being told, we don't sell your size. The shoe store cannot help you. The court could not help Joe and me, so they helped themselves to everything we own. The court, not being able to bring itself to award a division of our community property and return it to us in a fair divorce settlement, decided to divide hot air in the amount of $650,000 and call it a divorce settlement for Joe and me. The judge had no authority to hold our community property intact in his court and appoint our son, the court manager of the community property belonging to his parents, in a divorce action. That was not the judge's job, and he had no legal authority to use our son to hang on to our intact community property. Our son was not a participant in this lawsuit. Our son did not sue either one of his parents for a divorce and property settlement. No person can lawfully claim to own my community property or that I am trespassing on their land when my physical presence is at my rec hall. There was absolutely none of our land sold or legally conveyed. There are no new owners. The owners are still just Joe and me. The court's unequivocal determination to keep this community property is revealed in the official oppression of me by continuous threats, 17 years of false imprisonment, accusations of trespass, the arrest and incarcerations, which resulted in 2 trials, which took place both 6 and 9 years after the law dismissed the case because Joe died. Joe is incurring no debt. I am incurring no debt. To promote the divorce settlement of the non-existent cash, if the court is incurring debt to inflict on our debt-free community property, it is the obligation of the court to repay the debts and release me, our son, and our community property, and to cease and desist legal interference and control in our lives and our business using this did-nothing petition for divorce. After all, isn't this America? You know, the land of the free. Thank you.
Next presenter is Ms. Barbara Storrs.
Good morning, Judge,
Good morning.
Commissioners. On December 19th, we are going to hold our District 12 Continuing Education Conference for judges and county commissioners in Laredo. And I would like for you to hold that date. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, next we're under item 6. 6A, we have a presentation by Mr. Hugo Berlanga regarding a BP Deepwater Horizon restoration funding.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. The county judges, this is Jaime Longoria with the County Judge's Office. The County Judge's Office was approached by Mr. Tim Richardson on behalf of several consultants that have come together to work with a settlement from the Deepwater Horizon issue that came up off the coast, off the Gulf Coast. Mr. Berlanga is here today and would like to give you all a brief presentation on their services and what they have to offer the county. Mr. Berlanga.
Morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Judge and Commissioners Court, for the opportunity to brief you on the DP restoration funding that is available to the Texas coast. As a point of reference, in 1997, the state of Texas finally adopted what is known as the Texas Coastal Management Program. We were the only state in the nation that had not adopted a coastal management plan. There was always a lot of resistance from the state of Texas for different reasons in terms of didn't want the federal government intervening on our coast, so on and so forth. Luckily, myself and at that time Senator Jerry Patterson, who's now the land commissioner, we were successful in passing a coastal management plan for the state of Texas. So it allows now Texas more than ever to be able to participate on the restoration funding that is going to be made available. Tim Richardson, just as a point of reference, is well known within not only the environmental community, but also, more importantly, was instrumental in the development of the program that was put together some 20 years ago when we had the catastrophic situation in Alaska dealing with the Exxon Valdez situation. There's no question that Mr. Richardson is extremely well versed not only on the development of the program, but also on the acquisition of funds, as he did so for Kodiak Island. He's written numerous books and so on and so forth, but he's very well specialized in these type of funds acquisitions. And so we are prepared to not only represent Hidalgo County, but a couple of other counties up and down the Gulf Coast. But at this time, if we could, if you would turn to the first page, and I will give you just a brief synopsis of what's at stake here. Now, let me point out that there's already been some dollars that have been set aside. The case has already been heard in New Orleans. BP opted to let it be heard by a judge, no jury trial. So all oral arguments have concluded. They've given each side 6 weeks to submit briefs back and forth on different points of contention. We know that there is going to be additional dollars that are going to be put, in our opinion, into additional funds that are going to be made available for all the Gulf Coast states to try to secure. The Restore Act estimates to produce between $3.5 billion to $11 billion. Texas' share of those dollars will have 2 revenue streams. Number one, there'll be an infrastructure component, which will be locked in at 7%, and then there's an environmental component, which is very competitive. The criminal settlement of the $2.8 billion already agreed to will provide Texas 8%, which equals to about $224 million at the present time that has been allocated for environmental projects. The Natural Resources Damages Act final tally estimates here to become $5 billion with a balance of early restoration of about $4.3 billion, and will be environmentally, and this denotes the Gulf-wide competition, because everybody up and down the coast will be trying to secure some of these dollars. On the second page, you'll note that there are 16 counties that are 100% in the coastal management area and 25 miles inside the coastal management zone as defined by the Restore Act. There are 15 counties, which Hidalgo is one of them, and obviously all of Willacy County is there as well. With a total population of all 31 counties within the coastal management, about 7 million. 40% of Hidalgo plus all of Willacy equals about 300,000 people, or 4.3% of the funding eligible population area for the Texas Restore Act dollars. And if you take into consideration all of Hidalgo's plus Willacy's population equals about over 700,000 people, or 10.3% of funding eligible population area for the Texas Restore Act. The U.S. Treasury on rule on dollar zones will be ruling on or before 9/1/14 on the project funding date that will be set. The governor has discretion on the Texas controlled funds for economic and environmental investment if the federal DP Council agrees. Now, the reason we've laid everything in terms of Hidalgo and Willacy County, because it's our understanding there's one of these big projects that y'all have been looking at, which is a rather significant environmental project that includes both counties. Now, when you look at the next page, at the Deepwater Horizon Restoration Action Areas for Texas and the dollars that can be made available, there's $800 million agreed to, and now in the restoration account, plus an ordinary negligence verdict, sends an additional $2.7 billion to Restore Funds account. $3.5 million of the total estimate for the Restore Act. Transocean's $800 million in Restore Act accounts, plus a gross negligence trial verdict, sends an additional $11 billion. And that's what's at stake right now. And it is our hope that by the end of the year, or hopefully by the middle of December, we'll know whether the judge rules that there was gross negligence or whether there was just ordinary negligence on their part. So there's a big swing of potential dollars that could be made available to the state of Texas as well as other other Gulf states. So if you take into account the dollars that could be made available, the governor will decide the Texas allocation pattern along the coastal areas of the above zone by September of 2014. So Governor Perry will still be in place. He still has one more year to go. So he will definitely have a say-so in terms of how the funds will be allocated and to whom. So if you flip over to the next page, you'll notice that we take into account the various scenarios, both the minimum and the maximum, and you can see that that Hidalgo County could very easily be looking at anywhere between 25 to 85 million maximum, just under the Restore Act, if it was on a pro rata share based on the population. We're convinced that we can make a very strong argument that even though only part of Hidalgo County is in the coastal management zone, that we know that any environmental impact program benefits the entire county. And everybody is responsible, whether if it's the water that we're looking at, that everybody contributes to that formula, and so therefore we can make a strong argument that all of the county, for the sake of distribution of dollars, that the whole population ought to be taken into account. The other thing that's important is that any dollars that are drawn down can be used as non-federal match. That means you can take whatever dollars you receive from the DP settlement structure and leverage those dollars and draw down additional federal dollars that may be available, whether they be state or federal. Now remember also that the state of Texas just recently passed Proposition 6, and there's going to be some money set aside, not only by definitions for rural areas, but also more importantly, 20% of those dollars are going to be set aside for conservation, for water conservation. So it's something that you could very easily draw down and match up, or depending on what the new development board is going to do. Tomorrow in Corpus Christi, we have Beck, one of the commissioners will be in Corpus Christi making a presentation. It's a small board, and they're going to be able to delegate and designate a lot of influence on what programs get funded and in what capacity. But again, I mean, these dollars can be used as non-federal match dollars. On the next page, we also have other funds that are eligible for environmental investment. For example, if parts of the Raymondville drainage were ruled to be also an environmental investment, then as much as an additional $1.3 billion in discretionary environmental funds from the Restore Council, $12.12 million in the criminal settlement, and all the dollars combined opens it up for those dollars, additional dollars. Again, these are all green dollars will derive from the Texas share of the DP Council's comprehensive plan component. Again, depending on whether it's a criminal settlement or whether we're looking at the additional damages that are going to be applied. If you look on the last page, if we use a population pro rata scenario, which we think it's very likely, you're looking at the minimum and you're looking at the maximum, and you can see those are pretty significant numbers. Now, I also understand, though, that this project that y'all are looking at has a pretty healthy price tag as well. Again, we appreciate the opportunity this morning. I know you have a lengthy agenda in front of you. Be glad to try to answer any questions. Again, Mr. Richardson's in Washington, D.C. He is a native Texan, worked at one time for Senator Lloyd Bentsen. He started the Texas Tribune, and then he sold it and went to Washington, and continues to be in Washington. And he reached out to a group of us in Texas to see if we wanted to team up with him on a very specialized program that is going to be a windfall, so to speak, as a result of the catastrophic situation that we had in the Gulf Coast. And
So
I'll be
the
glad to-
minimum, I mean, well, but I guess we need to discuss that. This money came about as a result of the government requiring British Petroleum to set aside some funds for restoration of the coast.
Yes, sir.
All of the Gulf Coast, Florida to Texas.
We are competing with the rest of the states, and Texas has already been allocated a certain amount of dollars. We think it's low. We're trying to get that percentage to be increased because we have the largest percentage of the coast in Texas, of the Texas coast, of the entire Gulf Coast. The majority of it is in Texas. We think we're entitled to a little bit more money. Right now, we're behind Florida and Louisiana, but we think that in the other states, we think that we ought to be up there pretty close to the top.
The minimum amount you estimate to be $247 million. The maximum is $826 million for Texas.
Yes, sir.
And out of that, 16 counties are supposed to share in that amount?
No, it's going to depend on who the governor decides, who gets what dollars and what projects meet the criteria to be funded. You have different federal agencies. This will not take any congressional action. This is all going to be driven by the various agencies and by the governor's office and the various state agencies as well in terms of the evaluation.
Let me phrase it a different way. 16 counties are eligible to apply for these monies.
Right.
And your firm is asking, requesting that we hire you to represent Hidalgo County in that quest.
Yes, sir.
And your partner is who, sir?
Mr. Tim Richardson.
Right, and as I understand it, I was contacted by Mr. Richardson that he was involved in representing several states, well, several counties within the state of Alaska during the Exxon Valdez catastrophe or oil spill. And the same process occurred, and that's where I guess he gained his experience and set up his consulting firm and is now asking that we hire your firm along with himself to represent us in applying for these dollars.
Yeah, well, it's his firm, and I'm just a part of the firm because it's going to take a state and a federal component in ensuring that everything comes to fruition for the benefit of Hidalgo County.
And how do you base a fee? I asked him, and he said it could not be a contingency fee.
Right.
So what amount of money would be needed to hire your services?
Well, I mean, again, I think if we have the various stakeholders who will benefit from the project, then I think and what some of the other counties have done is that they've spread it along the various cities and the various counties. Within the county, the various cities, and they're all contributing through an interlocal agreement. They're all contributing their pro rata share of what they think their net benefit would be, and that's part of it. The other part would be you're allowed a 3% drawdown on the administration of that contract, and so we would propose a consultant fee, a monthly consultant fee, and then probably a 1.5% management fee for the management of the grant that would be awarded to coincide with whoever is going to be in charge with the county overseeing the procurement of that grant and the administration of the grant, the bidding of that grant, and everything that goes with it. This is something that's going to take probably. There are still funds being provided to some of the areas in Alaska right now, and it's already been 20 years in play. But we figure, depending on the project, that you may be looking at an ongoing situation of 2 to 4 years.
Is your fee then 1.5% of whatever the amount is that we are entitled to receive?
Right, because what it is you're entitled to 3% administrative costs on the administration of that grant. And so we propose that it would be split, where we would oversee and work in conjunction with the individual in the county that would be assigned the task of implementing the grant, everything that goes with it, and then we would in turn ensure that all the I's and T's are crossed as all that paperwork flows back up to the
So
federal
there would
government.
be no monthly fee or expense fee, but the fee would be based on whatever we receive. You would get 1.5% of that.
No, it would be a combination. It would be a monthly fee, and once the dollars are secured, then it would be a 1.5%.
How much would that monthly fee be?
Again, I mean, I think we probably looking in the neighborhood of, if you get other cities and whatnot to be part of your plan, then it would obviously be spread around, but we're looking probably in the neighborhood between 5,000 and 7,000 a month.
Well, we can't speak for the cities, but as far as the county's concerned, how much of that would the county share be, approximately?
Just the county?
Yes, Hidalgo County, and 40% of the county is the only thing that applies. If you figured it out, if you haven't,
I haven't figured it out, but I'm sure we could come up with a number that would be,
Yes, when we talked about it, you indicated that only the eastern part of the county, 40% of the county would meet the criteria.
40% of the county is currently in the coastal management zone. But we feel, depending on your project, that if we're able to convince the decision makers, the policy makers, then we can get your pro rata share based on the entire population of Hidalgo County.
We got two major projects in that part of the county. One is what we call the Raymondville Drain, which is a drainage project. And the other one is a Delta Watershed Reclamation Project, a water reservoir. And that's located within that 40% area of the county.
And what are the estimated costs of those two,
They're substantial.
I guess the Delta is about 120 million, and then the Raymondville Drain is what?
5, 6,
For 100 million, no?
120 million on the Delta project, and how much on the other one?
And the other one's over 100 million also, so.
Are those projects the type that you believe would qualify?
I don't think there's any question that would qualify. Because from what I understand on what the little that I know about the projects is that we're talking about a better use of the water as it flows into the coast. So I think it would qualify under anything and everything that's out there right now on the environmental side.
Are there any questions from the court?
How would that impact on the bonds?
Help us, depending on the amount we get, but it won't affect the bonds.
No, in terms of lessen the need to spend the monies in the budget.
Well, we've already spent, we had only set aside 10 million for the La Villa project, the Delta Watershed project, and we haven't done any spending on the Raymondville Drain because we're waiting for that 90% from the federal government.
Yes, because these dollars right here, remember, these are not federal dollars, these are private dollars from a publicly traded company.
You can use them for matching.
And you'll be able to use this money to go match up.
Match
Let's
up
assume for a minute that you only get 30 or 40 or 50 million
The only
dollars.
reason I bring it up is it may lessen the need to, on a bond.
Correct.
Better hurry up before they finish the money.
The other thing that I also didn't emphasize to y'all is that, remember, you have an environmental side, and then you have an economic development side. So if there's a worthy economic development project, it also qualifies for dollars under the different funds. Remember, there are four different.
What's involved in trying to hire this particular firm for this project? Or can we do that, or do we have to let it out for bidding?
Well, they are not with any type of HGAC that I'm aware of. And so it would probably have to be bid under a professional service.
Can I ask a technical question?
I'm
So
sorry?
you're saying the governor has, or the agencies will have call to these dollars in September of 14?
Yes, sir.
At that point, obviously, it's going to be grant proposals, submit your plan. you're proposing to do that as a firm for the county?
Yes, sir.
At what point would funds be available? Are we looking at windows of 6 months to a year to 2 years, 3 years? I'm just trying to figure out if we look at potentially hiring a firm to represent us, at what time does it start, the clock start, where we're using county funds to secure services to try to secure dollars, theoretical dollars, to make them practical one day?
Yeah. Well, obviously, the sooner the better, because right now we have to start the development of not only what the project is, we need to start visiting with the Department of Interior and all the different federal agencies that are going to be looking at these projects. Everything's got to be run up the flagpole, and then realizing that we feel very comfortable with y'all's project because of the magnitude of it, but also the location of it. And so it's just a question of, I mean, there's a lot that still has to go into it in terms of preparation, and then taking it up within the various Corps of Engineers, all the different agencies, so that everybody is signed off and everybody looks at the project. And then again, I mean, I think that even though it is a big ticket item, but it's also one that has the greatest impact on the Texas coast if it's done right. And so that's why it's a win-win, not only for the state of Texas, but also for this region down here as well.
Are you, have you currently been hired by other counties on some of those 16 counties?
Yes, we have.
What counties are you representing?
Up on the northern side, I mean, of the Texas, Jefferson counties, Chambers County, and I believe Montgomery County.
Is there a potential conflict? Do you see any out there?
No, because, I mean, they've all got different projects. Some of them are looking at some economic development type projects. They're looking at some environmental stuff, but nothing of the magnitude that presents itself here in both Willacy and Hidalgo County.
When you say environmental work, in what areas is this going to take place in? For example, clear environmental concerns, and we also have environmental clearance for road projects. Are they different, or do they cover the same areas?
On the environmental projects? Most of the projects are all going to be different. There's some of the communities are looking at desalinization, which falls under the conservation aspect of it. I think clearly this project is a combination of conservation and also the quality of water that will go into the coast, and a better use of those resources and the capture of that water, from what I understand on y'all's projects. And so every project is going to be unique, and everybody's got different needs. This is not a cookie cutter approach. Everybody's project are going to be unique in themselves, and we know, I mean, historically, I think the state of Texas recognizes that in this particular part of the country, we have some very unique situations when it comes to dealing with water. And now with a greater emphasis with conservation and stuff, I think y'all are extremely well positioned to take advantage. The bottom line is Texas is going to receive X number of dollars. The question then becomes, what counties are going to receive those dollars? And you're either going to be in the game or you're not. And that's what it amounts to. And now and I'll be very honest with you, when Mr. Richardson contacted me and the former Speaker of the House to be part of his team in Texas, the only stipulation that I made was that I wanted to be sure that South Texas was going to be included. I didn't want a situation where only counties going north were going to be in the game. I wanted to be sure that at least South Texas, and as far as I was concerned, to me, South Texas means Nueces County South. And so I think and that's exactly what has happened. Now, I don't represent Nueces County, but there's another group that's working that, but we'll see what happens. But
Mr. Berlanga, just a question. I know I see the presentations loops us with Willacy. Was there some consideration to loop Cameron County? I mean, Cameron County still, I mean, if you look at the Rio Grande Valley, I mean, you look at Cameron, Willacy, Hidalgo, and this, you know, I'm just wondering why we're looking at excluding Cameron as a potential partner from trying to work on leveraging and trying to submit applications for our area.
Yeah, it is my understanding that there's been some conversations with Cameron County. I have not been involved in any of those.
Okay.
But I know there's been some overtures that were made to Cameron County, as well as the Port of Brownsville, and, but they haven't.
Yeah, because I know that the Port of Brownsville is working on a, you know, desal expansion, water reclamation. I mean, we all got various projects dealing with water. I mean, I'm a clear advocate when it comes down to try to securing more dollars, especially private dollars. I mean, we all realize we're affected because the issue of water becomes probably one of the most predominant issue that we have to address along with drainage. But it'd be nice to see how we can cooperatively work together as a region to figure out how, since we all have multiple projects of various, you know, various different projects that we'd like to try to address with this avenue of funding.
We would love to be able to represent Cameron County, because obviously they're right there on the coast, and I don't know what projects they have, but I'm sure they've got some. But anything that y'all could do to help facilitate that would be welcome. And then again, like I said, we're prepared to assist those coastal counties. And again, I mean, these are dollars that are being set aside as a result of an unfortunate catastrophic situation that occurred on the Texas coast, and I think it behooves us to at least try to secure as many of those dollars as we possibly can. And you know, and I'll be honest with you, the state of Texas was a little slow in moving, and some of the other states got ahead of them in terms of the dollars that have already been designated. But we're hopeful that on the next go around that Texas can be better positioned to secure more than its fair share I think that they're more than entitled to. And there was a very damaging study that just was released by the Hart Institute in Corpus, Texas A&M, regarding the long-term effect of the DP spill for the Texas coast.
Well, this item is, you know, was only here for presentation.
Yes,
Give the court an opportunity to ask questions and become familiar with the project. And we need to proceed. If we're going to act on it, the consensus is to act on it, then we need to set it for action at some later date. But between now and then, we're going to need to know what process to follow as far as competitive bidding or professional services, or I'm not sure. We need to discuss that with our lawyer.
Yeah.
But if you could provide a written proposal that he can look at,
Sure.
I think that would help.
We can do that similar to what we've done with the other counties, and I believe the other counties have done sole source and professional services arrangements with us. So,
And thank you very much for providing us with this information, sir.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. We'll continue to work with Marty and with Steve regarding this issue. Thanks.
Karina?
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Karina Cardoso with the Public Affairs Division. This next item is item 6B. It's a proclamation declaring November as Official Home Care and Hospice Month. We have some members in the audience that I'd like to recognize to come up. Present today are John Sapansky with Apex Primary Home Care. He's the Chief Operating Officer. Bill Carlson with IMS Healthcare. Yolanda Gonzalez, IMS Healthcare, Home Health Care Inc., who's a physician and patient liaison. Linda Gardner, she's also with IMS Home Health Care, she's with marketing. Janie Garza, IMS Home Health Care Office Manager. Kathy Vela, IMS Home Health Care Director of Nurses. And Monica Quintana, IMS Home Health Care Marketing. So today we're considering a proclamation declaring November 2013 as Official Home Care and Hospice Month. Home and hospice care is an alternative to hospitalization or other institution-based forms of health care for acute and chronic illnesses, and provides compassionate, high-quality care for family members with a chronic or terminal illness. And to read the proclamation, I would like to introduce Ms. Linda Gardner from IMS Home Health Care.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
My name is Linda Gardner. I'm a resident here in Edinburgh. My husband and I own a business in Donna IMS Home Health Care. We are proud and active members of the Texas Association for Home Care, who has provided this proclamation today. Whereas home care services provide high-quality and compassionate health care services to those in need, especially during times of community or personal health care crisis. And whereas home care is the most preferred method of health care delivery among disabled elderly and chronically ill individuals eager to live independently in their own homes as long as they possibly can. And whereas home care in Texas and Hidalgo County is a growing alternative to hospitalization or other institution-based forms of health care for acute and chronic illnesses, providing care to hundreds of thousands of Texans each year. And whereas hospice care provides humane and comforting support for terminally ill patients and their families, including pain control and palliative medical care, as well as social, emotional, and spiritual services. And whereas hospice fulfills basic human needs of feeling comfortable in familiar surroundings and of attending physical and emotional peace during the last stages of life. And whereas there is a need to increase public discussion about advances in pain control and the care options available to individuals of all ages, races, and backgrounds who are at the end of life. And whereas the Texas Association for Home Care and Hospice and home care and hospice providers in Texas have declared November 2013 as Home Care and Hospice Month with the theme of Home Care and Hospice, Keeping Texas and Texans Independent, and are calling on all Texans to observe this occasion with appropriate ceremonies and activities. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that Hidalgo County Commissioners Court hereby declares the month of November 2013 as official Home Health Care and Hospice Month, and encourages the support and participation of all Hidalgo County residents in learning more about the home care and hospice philosophy of care for the elderly, disabled, and terminally ill.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. John,
Thank you, ma'am.
John Skapansky would like to say a few words about home care and hospice.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Morning.
I just want to say how excited I am to see the recognition that the home care and hospice industry is getting. We feel like it's a very important part of our industry down here and also for our community, for the people that receive it. It helps them live a dignified life in their home, and it also is the most cost-effective way to keep people in their homes and out of the hospital. So we appreciate the recognition. We appreciate just the recognition of Home Care and Hospice Month, and we just thank you. I thank you for the work that you guys are doing, for your sacrifice, your commitment, for serving your community also. So thank you.
Okay, everybody go ahead and take a look at me. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Just a couple of more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
6C, Karina.
Item 6C is a request from United Blood Services to set up the blood mobile at John Austin Pena Memorial Center from 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on November 15, 2013, during the Health Department's Employee Diabetes Day event.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
That only for our employees? They're gonna check the sugar level?
On November 15th, we're having an Employee Diabetes Day at the John Austin Peña, and we actually have an item later on in the agenda that we're going to talk about it under the Health Department. So UBS is going to be there to check employees and have
But
blood
is that
donated.
for the community or for employees?
I believe it's for employees. Brenda Salazar from the Health Department will address that question.
Good morning,
Good morning,
Commissioner.
Brenda.
Thank you for all your warm wishes this morning, too. I'm sorry, okay, can you repeat the question?
I want to know if the blood drive is for employees or the community.
Oh, well, community's welcome, but we're really targeting Hidalgo County employees, especially during our Employee Diabetes Day event, which I did bring flyers for everybody to take with you. We'll be offering free wellness screenings, glucose, blood pressure, body mass index, diabetes and nutrition information, door prizes, and then we will also have the opportunity to donate blood to help any of our
So during that 3
community
hours-
members.
During that 3-hour period, Brenda, employees can go and get their blood sugar level checked?
Yes, sir, at any time between the hours of 8 and 12. And so we're setting up like a little mini wellness clinic. I'm going to say clinic in quotation marks. And we'll be offering these screenings as well as education on what the results mean.
And have department heads been notified that they need to let them go?
Yes, sir, we're working with our Public Affairs Division to distribute all of the information to all of the departments. I do have some flyers again that I do have printed out that any department head can take with them to post in their break room or in front of in the time clock where everybody will see it.
And while Brenda's up here, Judge, if we may take item 11A out of order, because that's addressing its approval under Health Department.
What item?
11A. It's the approval of proclamation declaring November 14th, 2013 as Hidalgo County Diabetes Day, which goes hand in hand with the fair to which Brenda refers. If I may read the, perfect.
Those in favor, excuse me, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And yes, Judge, we actually have a new county employee newsletter that we're sending out to all of our employees and notifying them of upcoming events that are relevant to the employees. This is one of the events that is happening this week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 7.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. Item 7A, 1 and 2, there's no action at this time unless there's action to be taken further down the agenda. Item B is our standing item. It's presentation for discussion and consideration and action, including but not limited to the following. I'm going to ask Mr. Palacios, Alex Palacios from Prodigy, to go up to the podium. First one is renovations to former administration building, first and second floors. Judge, Commissioners, here is the presentation will include the updated revised format for Commissioners Court. We have visited with all your offices.
Thank you.
And they're passing out the options as requested by Commissioners Court. Thank you, sir. I will turn it over to Mr. Palacios.
County Judge, County Commissioners, Mr. Guerra, as we prepare for the presentation to be uploaded, Nick, here we go. Okay. There you go, and the clicker would be right there. Okay. All right. Again, thank you, Mr. Guerra. Again, this is a weekly update on the progress of the Hidalgo County Court Administration renovations of floor first and second. As mentioned before, this is the layout of the first floor plan. As you can see, we have 2 blue boxes. Those 2 blue boxes are the locations of the existing vaults. Those 2 vaults are to be in place because they cannot be removed. They're structurally sound vaults. And the areas, the boundary in red are the areas that need to be modified as a function of the vaults staying in their locations. We have a 90% complete of demolition that has been accomplished by the general contractor.
I didn't understand, there are 2 what, sir?
Vaults, money vaults.
Oh,
safes.
okay, safe.
Concrete vaults. On the second floor, there's a vault noted in red, and that vault is being removed. But just to show as a reference at the location of where it's at with respect to the lobby area, and the second floor has been completed 90%. Now, from our last discussion, the Commissioners Court had requested a couple of options. Before you, we have an option A. The option A seats approximately 106 seats for the general public. That also includes the Public Affairs Office that you'll see in this upper left corner here. Now, the new offices are at 2,420 square feet, and the Public Affairs Office is at 1,039 square feet. You also requested an overlay with respect to the option A. The overlay of the existing Commissioners Court was approximately sat 60 seating at 1,700 square feet versus the new proposed option A of 2,420. We are also presenting to you an option B. The difference between option A and option B is that we expanded into the main courtyard or the corridor by this area denoted here by glass. This is a glass wall right here. As you can see, the stairways have been removed, therefore allowing us to accommodate approximately 170 seats versus the 106 from option A, which also encompasses and includes the Public Affairs Office in this area right here. This square footage allows us 2,770, and the Public Affairs maintains at 1,039. The overlay with respect to option B is as shown. Again, from the option B at 170 to the 60 seating, this is the old Commissioners Court denoted in red. As you can see the progress, the site is being kept clean by the general contractor. The stairway that you see here is proposed to be removed so that we can expand the main entrance of Commissioners Court in this area right here. The before and after pictures, seeing it from a different angle. As you can see, the contractor is maintaining a really clean site, and it is critical during a remodel and demolition because there's a lot of activity going on. Cables being cut by accident, pipes being removed, etc. Now, those cables that you see there, they're not there because they left them behind. They're there because they're very active and they're functioning for the upper floors. But as you can see, the site is extremely clean for a demolition project of this magnitude. The escalators, as you see there to the left on the before, this is what they looked like before they were demolished, and as you can see, they are completely gone. The only thing remaining is that a concrete pit that is going to be filled with concrete, and as you can see, the structural steel is also being, sections of that structural steel is being demolished in small proportions for the remodel. Area on the second floor. Another angle of the main atrium. And if you have no further questions for me, or if you have questions,
Right now, what's our seating capacity presently?
Our current capacity is approximately 60.
And now we're going to be able to, if we go with option B, we're seating 170?
Yes, sir. If we choose to go with option B, which I am inclined to lean in that because of what was mentioned for future growth. I think Commissioner Palacios Tito and Commissioner Joseph Palacios mentioned the growth. That we lean towards the 170 seats. But again, it's up to the Commissioners Court and administration.
Judge, Commissioners, if I may, I do want to make one little notation in talking to Mr. Palacios, and again, I'd like the court to consider it. The seating will still be more than double, but I am asking the court to consider one little tweak in the executive session room. The width is approximately 15 feet. I'm asking if the court would consider that we make the width 20 feet and and just shift to the south 5 feet. I believe at the end of the day, the lost seating is negligible in the sense that you're going to have over 150 seats just to make the executive session room just a tad wider than what's been proposed. Again, the old seating was approximately 60 seats.
That's correct.
And so again, it'll be more than double than what we had in the past. Again, for the court's consideration, just to widen by 5 feet. And I believe that 5 feet will make all the difference in the world with respect to the seating and the arrangement of the table itself.
Commissioner, you had a,
No, I was just, the differences between the 106 and 170, and then we talked about a potential hybrid between the 170, reducing it just a little bit, but to me, it's rare occasions that we need any more than 100 chairs.
Okay.
Does it ever happen? Yeah, it happens. Maybe not as frequent. But I guess the goal is just to make sure that it could handle current needs and future needs, but at the same time, it still being aesthetic to the building itself.
Yes,
So,
sir.
to me, it doesn't matter. I mean, whatever the will of the court is. But I know you need direction today.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
And Commissioner, on that note, in case of a public influx for that day, just note the main corridor, you'll have a main corridor of about 18 feet 4 inches. So there will be ample walkway in that main corridor and still maintain that quietness.
No, I know we talked about, even if we potentially went with a 106, that there would still be audio, video, ability to have it held outside in the
Yes, sir.
event that people are.
Yes, sir. That's where I'm identifying that you have approximately 18 feet of walking space in the main corridor. So it's still ample wide, but yes, sir.
What do you think, Judge?
I prefer option B with the modification suggested by Balde, making the executive session room a little bigger.
That's my motion.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. That's the direction then.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Palacios.
Yes, sir.
Judge, if I may, there is no action under the portable project, and there are no emergency situations occurring since last agenda session. Item C, I'm asking approval to process payment for invoices claim, and this is for Monitor Publication Distribution Services for our county newsletter. The invoices and the invoice dates are noted on the agenda, and all three are for $1,650. This again with the authority for the county treasurer to issue payment after the review and auditing procedures are completed by our county auditor's office.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item D, I'm asking acceptance of a settlement check from Germania Insurance Company, the amount of $373.30. This will settle an auto accident with one of our county vehicles.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners, if I may, I will present item 8 for the district courts.
Before we do that, Balde.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to move on to item 10A and accommodate our elected official, Mr.
Yes, sir, most definitely.
Mr. Paul Villarreal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Commissioners, my Executive Assistant Edgar is going to pass the breakdown of the totals for the county. Okay. Also, it's the approval of the 2013 tax roll totals as per section 26.09 of the property tax code. If you look also on the last page, I'll give you the breakdown of the Hidalgo County. The total partials, 333,505. The total market value was 36,589,740,667. The total exempt property was 8,678,372,480, for a total taxable value of
$27,911,368 and 187. The tax rate which was kept the same for the last, pretty much, I guess, over 10 years, at 0.5900. The total levy before frozen levy loss was $164,677,072.30. The levy loss due to freezes of $1,690,774.48. And for your total levy of $163,168,086.36. So if you accept this as a motion, it'll become our tax roll totals.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimous.
Thank you. Judge, have a good day.
Thank you, Paul. All right, Balde, let's go back to item 8.
Thank you, Judge. Item 8A is for the 206 District Court. As it reads, approval of increased interpreter pay allowance for one assistant court coordinator position, slot 3, in the amount of $3,000 effective next full pay period, which would make it November 18, 2013. Judge, Commissioners, I do want to make one statement that while it does say that it is an increase in interpreter's pay, what this truly is a reassignment of interpreter pay. They had a bailiff who left the court, and each district court is, or the district courts in general, are given a $6,000 interpreter fee for whoever is doing the interpreting services in their courtroom. They had a bailiff who left, and the assistant court coordinator, who was the secondary backup, is now doing the primary interpreting, and they wish to leave it at that. So with that being said, they'd like to take the $3,000 shifted over to that interpreter, making the assistant court coordinator the main interpreter, earning $4,500 in interpreting fees. Yes, sir. Everything's in order.
Move for approval.
I'm sorry, Commissioner?
For clarification,
Yes.
this is not new monies.
No, sir, this is not new monies. Again, this is a reassignment.
That's for 1 and 2.
I believe a
One and
bailiff is already receiving $1,500.
Yes,
So there'll be a bailiff getting $1,500.
$1,500, and the main
individual will
interpreter.
get the $4,500.
$4,500, yes, sir, that is correct, for the $6,000 allowance. It is all with it, yes.
We have a motion to approve items 8A, 1 and 2. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners, for the Energy and Defense, I'm asking approval to submit the fiscal year 2014 Hidalgo County Energy Defense Formula Grant application. There is no county match required. There is a resolution that is included for the application of the grant.
No matching required, sir?
No, no matching.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Item 9, our Sheriff's Office.
Una.
Morning, Judge,
Morning.
Commissioners.
Morning, sir.
Richard Ozuna, Sheriff's Office, Hidalgo County, on behalf of our Sheriff Guadalupe Lupe Trevino. Item 9A is the Sheriff's Office FBI grant, the 1284 account number. Would you like me to read each one, or would you like to take them all in sequence, Judge?
You need to read each one. I'm sorry, on this one, he needs to read each one.
Yes,
One
sir.
by one.
Item number 1 is the approval to accept overtime funding agreement from the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, in the total amount of $17,202.25.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Number 2 is authorization to pay overtime reimbursement under the grant terms and conditions.
Move for approval.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Number 3 is approval of certification of revenues as certified by our county auditors for the FY 2014 FBI overtime agreement.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye, motion carries.
And number 4 is the approval of appropriation of funds in the amount of $17,202.25.
Move for approval.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under number 9B, number 1 is approval and authorization to set up a collection site at the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office East Side Substation.
Move for approval.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And number 2 is the approval and authorization for a change fund of $50 pursuant to local government code 130.902.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our Health Department. Good morning, ma'am.
Good
Morning. We already did 11A, so 11B is discussion and approval of non-disclosure agreement between Network Sciences, Inc., MedImpact Healthcare Systems, and Hidalgo County. Requesting approval.
What is the effect of this? What are we trying to accomplish?
What we're doing is, MedImpact is the County Additional Healthcare's pharmacy benefit manager, and the Network Sciences is our computer software. So what we're doing is we're doing a non-disclosure agreement that we're sharing the information between the county, the pharmacy benefit manager, and the software company.
Is this going to affect the small pharmacist? Or?
No, this is just that we agree that this information is confidential and that we're sharing the information. That's all it is. So it is not affecting the pharmacies that we currently use right now.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye. 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 Motion carries.
Okay, and there's no action on C1 or D1. Okay,
Thank you, ma'am. Item 12.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. On item 12, A, 1 through 3, I don't know if y'all want to, in the interest of time, take them all. They're all geared towards the same thing. Basically, this is the culmination of the AFG grant, where we're purchasing the controlling system for the entire region, which Hidalgo County will have control of. It's a cost savings of about $700,000. We're asking for consideration and approval to execute interlocal cooperation agreement between Hidalgo County and the City of McAllen for the purpose of purchasing of communications equipment through the Assistance to Firefighters Grant for the continued development of a regional radio system. Number 2, discussion, consideration, and approval to submit the 20% cash match requirement of the City of McAllen in the amount of $227,074.80 as stated in Exhibit A of the interlocal with the City of McAllen for purpose of purchasing the communications equipment. And item 3, discussion, consideration, and approval to execute an amendment to the present lease purchase agreement between Hidalgo County and Motorola Solutions for the purpose of amending the terms of the contract to make a one-time payment of $1,135,374 from the funds provided by the Assistance to Firefighters Grant facilitated by the City of McAllen on behalf of Hidalgo County Fire Marshals. And basically, McAllen will be paying the grant up front, and then they will invoice us, and we will pay our match percentage.
Judge.
Need a motion to approve 12A, 1, 2, and 3?
Judge, got a couple of comments regarding this item. On number 1, I believe legal counsel has reviewed the agreement and had some suggestions, recommended changes, and those were not made, and this is one for the record for counsel to.
Yes, we reviewed the final interlocal that was provided and attached to the agenda, and we approved it as to form. There was some discussion back and forth, some suggested language that was neither agreed to or submitted as part of this amendment item. We approved this, the attached interlocal item to the agenda today as to form.
Everything in order?
The other comment, Judge, has to do with the cash match. Normally, grants are on a reimbursement basis, so as monies are spent, we make a payment. In this case, the city wants for the county to contribute $227,000 up front. In order for us to be able to make that payment, we will have to review the actual invoices where the city is paying a dollar amount, so to make sure that the 20% equals $227,000.
What?
Rather have it to be subject to legal?
Well, I think legal's already reviewed it, but I think subject to the city or emergency management providing us with the actual invoice of the equipment, that way we can review it and make sure that our contribution is going to be exactly that amount.
Well, yes, sir. As long as the timeline's within our contracted December 31st of 2013.
He just wants to look at the invoice.
That's not a problem.
My motion.
Second.
All right, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Item 13, Urban County.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Item 13A is a request on behalf of the City of Mercedes requesting the authority to purchase a drop book, return in a drop cart with float with float tray for the public library. This purchase will be made from Brodart Company, contract number 40712, an approved vendor through the buy board. The total amount of the purchase is $6,560.64.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
13B1 is a request on behalf of the program to reduce the amount of the contract with R. Gutierrez Engineering Corporation under the General Land Office contract for the Precinct Number 2 Minnesota Drain Project. The decrease will be from $129,217.68 to $118,209.82.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B2 is also a request to reduce the amount of the contract to LNG Engineering Laboratory, LLC, under the General Land Office for a Precinct 4 Trenton Drain Project. The amount will be going from $8,566.87 to $63.96.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 14, good morning, Mr. Cowley.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning, Mr. Pruitt.
Morning. I have Barbara Storrs, my coworker, and Mr. Ray Pruitt here this morning, and we'd like to ask if you would, joining us in recognizing Mr. Ray Pruitt. Mr. Pruitt is a real stalwart of the agriculture community here in the Rio Grande Valley, and as such, he was recognized this summer by the Texas County Agricultural Agents Association with the Man of the Year in Texas Agriculture Award. And we wanted to take this time to present Ray with the plaque because there was a mix-up at the State Association this summer when Ray was honored with the other Man of the Year recipients. Unfortunately, his plaque was not there, and we felt real bad about that, and we told Ray we'd find an appropriate time in the Valley, and we think this is an appropriate time, Judge, and we have a proclamation that we'd like to have you join us in recognizing the many accomplishments of Mr. Ray Pruitt.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to read that this time, if I may. Please. Whereas Mr. Ray Pruitt, a native of Oklahoma, received an agriculture economics degree from Oklahoma State in 1966 and a master's degree in ag economics from Purdue in 1968. And whereas Pruitt began his career with the Texas Agricultural Extension Service as a community development specialist and with the Agricultural Economics Department of Texas A&M University in College Station, and through this position traveled to many areas of Texas, working with rural communities on community and rural development. And whereas this position gave him the opportunity to work with Mr. Reagan Brown, a rural sociologist with Extension, who later became Texas Commissioner of Agriculture with Pruitt as his campaign manager. And whereas Governor Preston Smith created the Texas Rural Development Commission, and Pruitt was appointed the first executive director. And whereas Reagan Brown brought Mr. Pruitt into the Texas Department of Agriculture as Assistant Commissioner and then later appointed him Deputy Commissioner. And whereas Pruitt moved to Mission, Texas in 1983 and accepted a position with Texas Citrus Mutual, a trade association serving the Texas citrus industry. And whereas Mr. Pruitt sold tree insurance to many growers just prior to the 1983 freeze, and those policies played a major role in the survival of the citrus industry. And whereas in 1984, Pruitt became Executive Vice President of the Texas Vegetable Association. In that position, he worked very closely with Extension entomologists to obtain Section 18 pesticide registrations and built a coalition that worked to modify state pesticide regulations so that farmers could live with common sense regulations while still protecting farm workers and the public. And whereas Mexico's water debt to the U.S. became a very hot issue during the 1980s, much work on this issue was accomplished by a Pruitt-led coalition called the Texans for Treaty Compliance. Pruitt made numerous trips to Washington, D.C. to meet with the State Department, and this coalition worked with local irrigation districts to obtain millions of dollars of federal funding that was used to make water-saving improvements to the infrastructure that delivers irrigation water to valley farmers. And whereas Pruitt has been active at the national level as an advocate for increased funding for specialty crops in the Farm Bill, he also supports pest and disease programs for APHIS, reasonable pesticide laws and regulations, expanding the use of fruits and vegetables in schools, and USDA's feeding programs, and many other issues through coordination with citrus industries in Florida, California, and the United Fresh Produce Association. And whereas Pruitt is currently active in 2 national ag organizations working on the current immigration issue, the Agriculture Coalition for Immigration Reform and the National Council for Agricultural Employers, both of these groups have been at the forefront of pushing for immigration reform. In January of 2013, Pruitt became the president of the National Agriculture Employees Association. And whereas Mr. Pruitt has worked on many agriculture issues in the Valley and in Texas, serves on numerous positions at local, state, and national levels, including A&M's Agriculture Development Council, Texas Commission on Agriculture's Qualities Agriculture Advisory Board, and Region M Water Planning Group. And whereas the most challenging issue to be faced by the Texas citrus industry to date is the citrus greening disease that threatens the very survival of the Texas citrus industry. In the last 2 years, Pruitt has worked diligently to bring many thousands of dollars from state and federal sources to develop a local comprehensive program designed to slow the spread of this devastating disease. And whereas Pruitt serves as deacon of the Calvary Baptist Church in McAllen, enjoys the support of his family, wife Jean, who is in the audience with us today, son Jeffrey, who is very active in the 4-H program in his formative years, and daughter Julie Hamilton, who lives in College Station. Now therefore be it resolved that the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court joins the Texas County Agricultural Agents Association in recognizing Mr. Ray Pruitt as the 2013 Man of the Year in Texas Agriculture.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. A couple of more. All right.
Pruitt, congratulations, sir.
Congratulations, Pruitt.
All right, thank you.
Look for the plaque at Tito's office. It's open.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Pruitt, thank you very much on behalf of the Commissioners Court and the residents of Hidalgo County for your 30 years of service to our community, sir. Next item, item 15, Head Start.
Judge, Commissioner Palacios is not ready to take action, so we're taking no action on this item.
He doesn't want to appoint anybody, does he?
He's taking his time, making a good selection.
I'll appoint him, sorry.
Item 16.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I would like no action on this item. I omitted a very important caption, so I would like to bring it in next week.
All the items?
All of everything?
Sir?
All the items?
Well, if I don't put that other item, that other caption, this is invalid.
Okay.
Is that fine?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item, 17, our Planning Department.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners, Raul Sin, Planning Administrator. First item is reimbursement financial guarantees. Would you like to just read them for the record all collectively? Is that okay? Because they're all basically reimbursements of cash deposits and so forth. Is that okay? Legal? Okay. Just for the record, Rivera Ranches Phase 2 subdivision, it's a reimbursement of $9,000. The next one is Moulin Rouge subdivision, and that one is a reimbursement of $3,000. Palace Station Phase 1 subdivision is a reimbursement of $2,000. Paris Ranches subdivision is a reimbursement of $6,000. Bally's Estates subdivision, it's a reimbursement of $2,000. MGM Grand Ranches Phase 1 subdivision, a reimbursement of $2,550. Falcons Nest Phase 1 subdivision, it's a reimbursement of $2,000. And Rivera Ranches Phase 1 subdivision is a reimbursement of $1,000. And they all have been reviewed, inspected by the Health Department. We have also the confirmation letters. Everything's in order for
Move for
approval.
approval.
Second?
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Villarreal, item 18, sir.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners.
No action.
We have the Hidalgo County Commuter Railroad District. Number one is accept resignation of Precinct 3 members of the HCCRD Board of Directors.
Move for approval?
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And now the appointment of James Barnes as Precinct 3 member of the HCCRD Board of Directors.
For approval?
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
sir.
Mr. Barnes.
Did you want to say something, Mr. Travis?
Sure.
Yes,
Certainly.
I'm sure all of you are familiar with Jim Barnes and his dedication to public service. The old saying, which still applies, if you have a job to do, ask a busy man. Jim's very active in public affairs, including the elections and other activities. I know Jim personally, and I know that he will work diligently to find facts, and he is dedicated to honesty and truthfulness and information before anyone jumps to conclusions. I've told Jim that I'm not going to disappear. I've worked privately with all of you commissioners from time to time as to information that I've developed. All of this will be made available to Jim. And if you become acquainted with him, and if he meets with you, if I can participate in any of these meetings, I'm certainly willing to do so. And Jim has my wholehearted confidence. I know he will do a good job, and I just had to make these remarks. Thank you very much, Judge.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for the service you provided to our county. All right, purchasing?
Yes, 19A, Martha Salazar for Purchasing Department. Acceptance and approval of the final negotiated contracts and/or documents between Hidalgo County and Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas and Dearborn National number one ranked providers for the third-party administration, individual stop-loss for self-funded medical plan, group term life, and accidental death and dismemberment project. There are some comments from the auditor's office related to the lack of review of these policies by legal counsel, and that's exactly what we're purchasing, our policies. Now, your consultant recommended those policies or vendors that gave you the best terms and conditions, If in the event, after receiving those policies, there would be need to change some or amend something, that would be done. But right now, we are purchasing policies and we have yet to receive them. Any execution of documents will probably most likely be in the form of applications, which the county judge must submit.
You need action for this?
We do need
Move for
action on it.
approval?
Second.
Now, I do know that you recessed your drainage
We can take
district.
action.
Okay,
If you want to recess this one and go back.
I wanted to ask a
take
question to Mr. Looney. I know we were in the back, and I started asking him about the prescription drugs program, the prescription benefit management program.
Yes, sir.
What's that about? Is that included as part of this plan?
Yes, sir. It's included as part of it. It was quite a comprehensive evaluation in the RFP itself.
And you're recommending which one? I understand there's two companies that provide it.
The Blue Cross Blue Shield contract includes the pharmacy benefit management company of Prime, and it was part of the Blue Cross Blue Shield proposal.
What about the other company, ServView? Is it possible to get involved with that particular company under this plan?
Under this plan, we'd have to negotiate that relationship, and that can be done outside the contractual agreements that we're doing today.
You know, I've been told that that's a lot better for the employees and cheaper for the court.
Well, I suspect
I'm not sure if it is or not, and I'd like, wanted to hear.
I suspect you've been talking to a salesman.
Well, have you ever recommended the ServView program to any?
I know the ServView people well, sir. I know the representative. I know the company. They're not a very large company at this point. They're a new company. But we did evaluate them as part of our process.
Because I know that there's about 4 school districts that have moved from this Prime to the ServView, believing it's a better program.
Well, before that, they were with a company called PTRX, and before that, they were with another company, so they bounced around quite a bit.
But the figures as they would play out, ServView and Prime, would ServView be better for us in the event, cheaper, less costly to the employee and cheaper to the court?
At this point in time, that's not apparent in the RFP process.
Judge, are you discussing the third-party administrator for the insurance?
I'm sorry, I'm still.
I was asking. I was wondering. Are you discussing the TPA, the BCBS for
Yes,
insurance?
that's correct.
I have a question regarding that. Does that include an agent fee? Does the third-party administrator fee include an agent fee?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Is that the way it was advertised?
I'm sorry?
Is that the way it was advertised with an agent fee? Because that's an increase in the cost per unit. So if you don't include the agent fee, it'll be a reduced cost per unit.
The agent's fee was included in the RFP process.
It's like
as an
last year,
option.
wasn't it?
Sir?
Is it just like last year?
Yes.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if you do not include the agent fee, it'd be a reduced cost to the county and to the employees.
Those individuals are already in the process of working on the enrollment. They've already had expenditures in accordance with their offices. And they were currently working on enrollment process and having costs involved with that process. We did reduce the agent commission back from where it was last year to a lower amount this year, but they are included in the process.
I think the agent fee is what, $60,000, $70,000 per year?
It's based on an employee per month
Right.
type evaluation, and I believe it's right at that $75,000.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you didn't include the agent fee, it would be about $75,000 less per year.
That's correct.
How many?
I believe at one point there were 2 agents involved in this process.
At one point, we used
Correct.
to pay a lot of money.
Do we still have 2?
There are, the agents, the incumbent agents are considered to be moving forward with the plan. They are the incumbent agents on the plan.
Right, but do we have 2 agents involved in this?
They function as one unit.
There's what?
As one unit.
They function
one
as
unit.
one unit.
But cost-wise,
Yeah, but each agent charges a fee, so if you add up those 2, then it equates to...
One fee.
one fee, yeah, but.
Yeah, they just split the fee.
Yeah, right, but.
Split the
yeah,
work and split the fee.
Split the fee,
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, some entities, governmental entities do not have agents, so they pay a lower amount because of that.
We could have done that away with that years ago, when we brought it down to that amount, 5 years ago?
The agent's offices are utilized to do administrative services, particularly with the enrollment procedure and process that take place, and that is not an inexpensive item.
But you're recommending the prime as far as the PBM?
Yes, sir. It's part of the bid process.
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve. Item 19A1, those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Does the court wish to entertain recessing Commissioners Court so we can get to the Drainage District portion?
This time, we're going to recess our County Commissioners Court meeting and take up where we left off at our Drainage District Board meeting. We're convening a Drainage District Committee Board meeting.
And this
Godfrey?
would,
Yes, sir. I'm going to let Marty handle the insurance part of it, Judge.
yes, sir, this would be item 7, acceptance and approval of the final negotiated contracts, and in this case, policies between Hidalgo County / Hidalgo County Drainage District number 1 for the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas and Dearborn National, as titled on the agenda.
Same as the county.
Yes, sir.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Reconvening.
Need a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We're
Thank you
now
very much, Judge,
reconvening.
Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Godson. Reconvening our County Commissioners Court meeting. Go ahead.
Going to
Salazar.
19A2, this is requesting authority to advertise an approval of qualifications, requirements, and scopes of services for our annual pool of professional services as listed 1 through 6, using the protocol as printed on the agenda.
Move for approval?
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B, for Precinct 3, this is requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262024A, a professional service.
Move for approval?
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
The second item B is presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking by Commissioners Court of the firms graded and evaluated from the pool. And those were LNG Engineers at 99, Isaguirre Engineering at 88, ERO Engineering at 92. Does the court wish to rank them in the order of their scores?
Yes. Approve.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Authority for the purchasing department to negotiate a professional services contract with the number 1 ranked firms, commencing with them, LNG.
Move for approval.
Second.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
C1, Precinct 4, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262024A4, a professional service.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking of the firms graded and evaluated through the approved pool of professional construction materials testing services, project limits between Ware Road and Ruth Road for mile 17 and a half. Those 3 were Terracon at 99, Professional Services Industries, PSI, at 97, and Trinity Solis Investigation Laboratories at 95. Does the court wish to rank them in the order of their scores?
Move for approval?
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Authority for the purchasing department to commence negotiations with the number 1 ranked firm of Terracon.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
C2, also Precinct 4, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262024A4, professional services.
Move for approval? Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking of the firms graded and evaluated, and this is for professional surveying services for Brewster Park in Precinct 4, Aranda and Associates at 97, R. Gutierrez Engineering at 93, and Salinas Engineering at R. Gutierrez at 95 and Salinas at 93. Does the court wish to rank them in the order of their scores?
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Authority for purchasing to negotiate a professional surveying services contract commencing with the number one ranked firm of Aranda and Associates.
Approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 3, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code 262-024A, a professional service.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking. 4, surveying services for project FM 1925, FM 907, east of State Highway 68, within the precinct 4 parameters, and that is LNG at 98, R. Gutierrez at 95, and Innovative Civil Engineering Services at 94. Does the court wish to rank them in the order of their scores?
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Authority for purchasing to negotiate a professional surveying services contract for the project specified, with commencing with the number one firm of LNG.
Approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item D1 is for the Sheriff's Department pursuant to contract with Chanine Engineering LLC, Article 12. A request approved by engineer to permit the subcontracting of the MEP Solutions Engineering and Sam Garcia Architects in connection with the adult detention and law enforcement facility repairs and/or replacements.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item E1, countywide, presentation of the sole bid received as detailed in tabulation sheet contained herein. There were 8 participants, 1 sole bidder, qualifying for consideration and award. Road Bond Services Company, that's out of Toller, Texas. It is about an increase of $50, or about 12.5% to 13% increase from the last contract we had. This is for EN1 road stabilizer material. We recommend award.
Approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
That is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 20.
Closed session.
Yes, but Bobby, is there, need a motion to proceed to executive session pursuant to 551-071 and 072?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
21, Judge?
Mr. Guerra?
Thank you, Judge,
23?
Commissioners. Actually, Judge, it's under open session item 21. There's no action under A, real estate acquisition, appropriation for same. No action under pending and or potential. 21C, Judge Commissioners, claim of Odette Prado. Again, Judge Commissioners, I'd like Settlement Authority to make an offering the amount of $5,000 in settlement.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge Commissioners, under item 21D, potential claim, Josephine Carnell individual, and as next friend of Dason Joseph Mendoza and David Mendoza Jr. I'd like to refer back to item 7A1 and 2. 7A1, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code, Section 26202-484, professional service for provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation. Motion to approve.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 7A2, request engagement with the firm of Atlas and Hall and Rodriguez for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation, authority to submit a letter of engagement specifically as it pertains to action item 21D. 21D, potential claim, Josephine Carnell, individual, and as of next, a friend of Dason Joseph Mendoza and David Mendoza Jr.
Action.
Yes, sir.
Move for approval.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item 21E, notice of claim, estate of Terrell Joseph Rebel, Deborah Marie Rebel, and minor children. There is no action at this time. Item 21F, notice of claim, Tomasa Hoskins. Again, there is no action at this time. Judge Commissioners, with that being said, there is no more action to be taken today.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.